Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Joe Zollo. We are back another week, and we are drafting the perfect fantasy football team. And it's going to be perfect, at least in our eyes, at least in mine and Ryan's eyes. Our teams are going to be perfect. We'll explain to you exactly what that means. We're going to do a little mock drafting here today. We are pretty much, and we're 1 week away from preseason football, folks. So we are right there. We are right in the thick of it. Training camps are all underway. It's an exciting time to be a football fan. We're so close to the NFL season. Let's get into it. Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I'm your host, Joe Zollo. Just me and Ryan again this week.
Yeah.
Just the two kids. Josh has to work. So
yeah. For what might be NPI's first ever mock draft.
Potentially.
Yeah.
First ever live one.
Yeah.
At the very minimum. It's definitely the first ever live one. We've done one previously where we've talked about what happened, but no, we have never done one live. So this is going to be fun. You maybe ask yourself, wow, they're going to do a mock draft with 12 people? No, 2 people in 10 computers.
Yep. I was going to say a bunch of our live audience is probably wondering, because I host a mock draft show every Friday. They're like, I didn't see mock draft invites go out. Nope. We're doing it a little differently for this episode. So
yeah. And we're doing that because, time. I mean, but time. It's going to go quicker.
Yeah. So for those who watch my show on Friday nights, we spend a lot of time talking about the general draft strategies and players picked. We want this show to be very much about our draft strategies and why we're making the picks we are. And you can't really do that in a full mock draft room and try to get it done in an hour. It's going to be a lot easier when it's just me and Joe shooting the shit and computer making all the other picks. So.
Yes, and you made this draft setup, so would you like to explain league rules as we...
Club Fantasy is very much a PPR league. I'll actually go ahead and get it up on the screen right now, and Josh is probably tuning in sometime after he gets off of work today. Josh, to make this work, we had to draft our own teams. It's probably not what you have in the description, but Sleeper wouldn't let Joe access it unless he had a team in it, so... We're drafting 2 perfect teams, Joe's perfect team and Ryan's perfect team. But as I mentioned, Club Fantasy is very much a PPR show. So this is a full PPR mock, but the rest of it is your home league rules, which are probably PPR as well. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs. I went 2 wide receivers. I was debating 3, but I went 2 wide receivers and 2 flex, a required starting tight end. And then I also did kicker and defense, though obviously they're not required to be drafted. So it's very basic home league stuff, Joe. This is the kind of league me and you play in every single year, and it's the league that probably a lot of our listeners play in.
Yep, 15 rounds. You will have 5 bench spots after all of your starters. So it's going to be fun. We want to hear from you, what you think. If we suck, who you would take in those scenarios, where your favorite draft position is, because currently where Ryan and I have picked our spots is normally where we like to pick. Ryan likes the back end of the first round. I'm more of a middle of the round kind of guy. I feel like that gets the most value. But whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and quick start draft now, Joe. And then if you want to talk a little bit about why you like the middle so much.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to wait. I'm not going to lie. A big part of it is you don't have to wait very long. When you're in the beginning or the back end, you're waiting. I mean, in the 12 team, you're waiting 23 picks to make your next pick. So for me, it's a little harder to plan ahead.
Yeah.
And it also feels sometimes that I'm reaching, because there might be a guy that I really like, but I know I'm not going to be able to get him in 23 picks, but he's probably going to go another round later, but I have to jump and take him because he's my guy. Whereas if I'm sitting in the middle, I'm drafting every 12 picks or so. So I feel comfortable, like, okay, maybe like, again, right now, this is the first round, but in a middle round, it's like, I like this guy, but I think I can wait one more round and still get him. So I think there's better value sitting in the middle. And as we all know, I am a running back first guy, and I I know we're against the computers. I don't understand how they didn't take Bijan Robinson.
Why? But
already.
this is the strangeness of ADP right now. And obviously the computer doesn't go straight by ADP, but Bijan Robinson falling to you at 6 would be just a dream come true, I imagine.
Yeah, it does not go by straight ADP, because if it did, Justin Jefferson and Bijan Robinson would both be off the board
you're right.
right now in terms of player rankings that Sleeper has. So yeah, Bijan's the easy draft pick for me right there. Yeah, that wasn't even a question to me.
Yeah, and looking at the first round, I'll talk a little bit about the 11 before I make my pick, but looking at the first round, it kind of fell perfectly for both of us because the guy I'm going to take is going to be there as well. But Joe, I'm feeling what you're talking about in Scott Fishbowl right now. Or maybe it wasn't even Scott Fishbowl, it's another one of my drafts, but sometimes when you like to play the ADP game, picking from the ends is no fun because you do have to take a guy around early because it's 23 picks between your picks. But why I do like the ends is sort of the opposite of what you were saying, where you don't worry about planning too far ahead. I definitely don't have to plan too far ahead. I get to kind of look at this and kind of pick 4 guys right now that I want, and 2 of them are coming home with me. And when I get into a situation like that, it just feels more comfortable. I especially like the 11th pick in like 3rd round reversal leagues, but I get very comfortable here. I don't like being on the very end, and I hate the 1 pick. The value of the first pick is never worth it to me, to where the 12 is kind of the opposite, where you get to stack those 2 players right away. And so that's typically how I like to do it at the end. And then Joe, I'm actually at a conundrum already because I, like you, typically like to go running back early. But 2 of my guys are here, and my 2 guys present another conundrum that I want to talk out with you. So I'm looking at Ashton Jeanty. I'm looking at Brock Bowers. I will take tight end early to get one of the elite guys. But Joe, are we in a situation? I don't feel comfortable starting a fantasy team with 2 Las Vegas Raiders, Ashton Jeanty and Brock Bowers, no matter how talented they are. So I'm probably going to take Jeanty to stick with my running back early strategy as well. But how do you feel about taking 2 Raiders to start a fantasy draft when they're 2 of arguably the best at their position?
I don't care. If you're good, take them. Like that's to me, especially they're not competing. Against each other for like in all real, like Brock Bowers isn't stealing carries from Ashton Jeanty, and Ashton Jeanty's not stealing receptions from Brock Bowers. So I think it all works. I think, the team's not great, but really good coach in Pete Carroll. He's gotten the best out of Geno Smith more than anybody has, and Geno's with him. So is it going to be great? No, but if Brock Bowers can do what he did last year with the crap was throwing him the football, he's going to be fine.
So I've avoided it in every draft to this point. In our last mock draft, Chris Molina stole Brock Bowers from me, and I thanked him, and then I took Trey McBride. In this draft, Joe, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to see what my team looks like because that's the whole point of mock drafting. I'll do a quick recap of the first round because it's a pretty standard first round. It's all running backs and wide receivers, folks. Jamar Chase went first overall, Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then as Joe pointed out, Bijan Robinson falls all the way to him at 6, which is incredible.
Feels nice.
And then it's 3 wide receivers again, Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua, Malik Neighbors. And then it's 3 running backs, Derrick Henry, Ashton Jeanty, and Christian McCaffrey. So it's a very young running back sandwiched by older guys. Brian Thomas Jr. started off that round. And like I said, that leaves Brock Bowers to me. And these are 2 of my favorite players for these first 2 rounds, Joe. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger on that. When you look at that first round, Joe, before you make your pick, it's what? Literally 6 running backs, 6 wide receivers. Me and you obviously lean running back early, but that seems to be the standard of what's going to happen in fantasy this season.
I don't know. That's interesting because I've seen more wide receiver heavy setups. And this is something that I don't like, that I might, again, you go in with your strategies. I might break it because noted, don't like Bucky Irving. Yeah. I think he has a sophomore slump. Noted, Josh Jacobs is going to have a down year. Like we know that's coming.
Yeah.
I like JT. I don't know why 2-7 feels like a stretch. It's between him and my darling lad McConkey. So I don't know who I go in with it. It's definitely back and forth. As I sit here and talk it out, I'm going to take the running back, and I will go Jonathan Taylor. But I feel like I scroll down the receiver list and I can see value of guys that I could plug in at my wide receiver 1 and be okay with. And I scroll down 2 scrolls at the running back position and I'm like, wow, that's not fun. So it's whether it feels like a reach. I like Jonathan Taylor, and apparently the computer agrees because they took Ladd McConkey directly after
the
me.
very next pick. I saw that too.
Yeah.
Now, Joe, with your running back early strategy, you've caught some shit from it from, some Club Fantasy alums. Chris Molina comes to mind. But I like how you just talked it out because you did have a favorite player, but you looked at the depth at running back versus the depth at wide receiver, and you made the decision based on that. And that's how you would approach most of your drafts, correct?
Yeah. And that sometimes bites me in the ass because, I mean, there's times where, I don't get stuck with maybe the best wide receiver one, or there's years where I have, DJ Moore's best season on top of DK Metcalf 1-2 at my receivers. Oh, and I had Jonathan Taylor and Austin Eckler as the RB1 and RB2 in fantasy football that season. So like sometimes it's a home run, knock it out of the park, no brainer. And what I was worried about is that I thought more running backs would be off the board at this point in time. And I didn't think I was going to be able to get one of the 2 guys that I was sitting here wanting. And again, the 3 running backs in the first 3 round strategy is not for everybody. All right. It's not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart, because some people don't enjoy, and I'm just going to use this guy because I've had him as my wide receiver 1 for a long time, don't enjoy going into the season with DJ Moore as the wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. But to me, I look at all the receivers up there, and obviously there's receivers better in fantasy football than DJ Moore. What I can count on outside of a little bit of last year, DJ Moore was always in the lineup, always giving me points, and he would have his big weeks. That's what I could rely on with DJ Moore.
Yeah.
And there's hopefully going to be a guy that I'm hoping that slides and falls to me. I don't know if he will, that I can take, but I feel comfortable going 3 running backs here because I do look at the receivers and I'm scrolling down. I'm like, okay, there are a few guys on here that I think will slide to me that I would be okay plugging in as my wide receiver 1, and I would be okay with that. Garrett Wilson is staring me down the barrel right now.
I knew that's who you were going to be debating.
Garrett Wilson is staring me down the barrel right now. But it's funny, we talk Rams. Kyren Williams is just an absolute touchdown monster. And as a guy I can put in my flex, that's probably guaranteed a touchdown every 1.5 games. Yeah, I'll put Kyren Williams there. Again, the computer right there with me, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, the computer is in lockstep with you on either end. I want to ask, because I think it's who you were debating. Was Breece Hall the debate there?
A little bit, yeah. If Kyren went, I would have gone Breece Hall or vice versa. I had Breece last year. He bit me in the ass. We all know how that works in fantasy football. A guy bites you in the ass the previous year. You don't normally take him the next year. So I think Breece Hall is going to have a good season, especially with Justin Fields at quarterback. Teams have to worry about both the quarterback and the running back now in the run game. I've denied Kyren Williams for 2 seasons, and I believe this is a contract year for him, and I love contract year guys. So I can't deny what he's done finding the end zone. That's just, and as a flex option, sure, sign me up.
Yeah. So in my normal draft strategy, I'm with Joe. I'm a 3 running backs early guy, and I got to be honest, in this draft, I don't know how well it would have worked out for me. I would have grabbed Achane in round 2 over Bowers, but I am very much a tight end early guy if I can get one of the 2 guys at a reasonable cost. And I mentioned this, actually, this might have been a pre-recorded show, that I believe George Kittle probably belongs more in that top tier conversation now based on the absolute tragedy that's going on with the San Francisco wide receivers.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's going to be another great year for Kittle, assuming he can stay healthy. But when it comes to tight end early for me, I get a guy like Brock Bowers. It's set it and forget it. I don't have to worry about him till his bye week. I don't love having 2 Raiders, but again, we mock draft to see what the team's going to look like. But Joe, it puts me in a tough situation when I get to this 3rd pick, because I definitely want to go running back, because like you, I like to lock that position down. I was praying, I knew you were going Kyren, but if it wasn't you making the pick, I was praying Kyren or Breece gets past you guys and gets to me and solidifies that 2nd running back spot for me. So in this situation in a normal draft, it's my first time I look to pivot. But then I go look at the wide receivers, Joe, and I'm with you where I like the value later on. I'm not ready to buy back in on Marvin Harrison. So all of that just pushes me back to the running back. And now it's a debate of guys who we saw do it for periods of time last year. Can they do it again this year? And it's bringing me to James Cook. Obviously, there's the holdout that we have to deal with now, but the Buffalo offense is a great offense. I assume he's going to be playing this season. Last year was just such a good year for him. It was obviously the best year of his career, but he comes out of that season with, I'm trying to get the stats up right here. Sorry guys, I'm struggling. Over 1,000 yards and 16 touchdowns, Joe. Obviously touchdowns aren't sticky, but even if he cuts that in half, 8 touchdowns, if he's another 1,000-yard runner, I'm not going to be mad about James Cook. Right now, I'm going to be perfectly honest. We're talking about building the perfect fantasy team. I hate my team as it stands right now. So
well, it's funny. I thought, you sat there. I thought you might have pivoted to what Team 12 just took. I thought you were going to take your guy in Mike Evans at receiver. I know as a wide receiver one, he's probably not it. And also the fact that they took DeVonta Adams back-to-back, that one kind of hurt. I was hoping he would slide.
So Adams, because of our recent show, was actually more on my radar than Evans. Evans has reached this point where I don't trust him as my one. If he falls to me in my two, which he's not going to a lot, I'll absolutely take him. But it's a really good point. I think the computer kind of bailed me out here, Joe, because 311 felt too early to go Alvin Kamara, but 4-2 feels perfect because like you, I like to walk out of the first 4 rounds with 3 running backs. You're obviously going to go wide receiver. My wide receiver was Brock Bowers.
And
that's the decision you're making. So with Kamara, especially in full PPR, Joe, I think you and I are on the same page where we understand what he brings to the table as a receiver. Obviously, there's questions for him as a runner. But my question to you, Joe, is more about New Orleans. I'm nervous about this team, but Kamara also feels like he could get traded, and he feels like the kind of guy who could end up on a team elsewhere, as long as it's not the Raiders for the sake of my team or the Buffalo Bills. Kamara seems like the guy who could get traded elsewhere and still have a lot of value.
I would agree with that. I would 100% agree with that. I think he does have a lot of trade value to a contender because I don't think the Saints are going to contend this season.
Yeah.
Might not be contending for a while.
And I wonder if like Denver, if RJ Harvey doesn't pan out, I mean, they got Dobbins. Never mind. I forgot about the Dobbins pickup. So never mind. That's not happening. Yeah. So
something I do want to bring up because my wide receiver one fell to me, folks. The 2 teams around me. Do you notice common themes with Team 5 and Team 7, Ryan?
That would be no running backs, folks.
No running backs. So as someone who has all running backs right now, I can, unless I know that they're Joel, who doesn't take a running back.
Keep avoiding it.
Who doesn't take a running back until plays 0 RB, doesn't take a running back till round 7, round 8. I can sit there knowing that the common average draft fantasy football player is probably going to want to take a running back or a different position if they went 3 straight receivers.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting pretty knowing that when it wraps back to me, there's a good chance that, this team's sitting there, and obviously this goes a lot faster because picks are happening right away. But in a normal draft, 1 minute, minute and a half, 2-minute draft clock, Team 7's on the clock. I'm sitting there and I see that DJ Moore, a guy I want as my wide receiver one, is sitting there. I can sit pretty waiting to hover over that draft button because I have 99% confidence that Team 7 is not going to take another wide receiver because they have Jefferson, Drake London, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
A great trio of wide receivers. I will not deny that. And just for reference, if DJ Moore didn't make it, it would have been DK Metcalf. And if DK Metcalf didn't make it, it would have been Cortland Sutton. 1, 2, 3. I have noted I have had DJ Moore and Cortland Sutton on all of my teams for the last 3 seasons. So,
and I think there's a very good chance Sutton makes it back to you on the way back, and you walk out of here with 2 wide receivers you want if you're willing to make that pick.
That's normally what happens is Sutton normally falls as my wide receiver too. So again, and even like I know DK Metcalf probably won't, but that year it was DJ Moore and DK Metcalf on my team.
Yeah.
With Jonathan Taylor and Austin Eckler when they were the RB1 and RB2. It
Are you comfortable with Sutton as your one?
Yes.
I can't find myself comfortable with that, really.
Contract year, going for his final contract. Really good last season. I think Bo Nix probably cools off just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
But Courtland Sutton is one of the most, I would say, undervalued wide receivers in football. Maybe not in fantasy because obviously the numbers haven't always been there. But he's a fantastic 50-50 ball guy, good route runner, awesome hands, just been underappreciated in Denver. He hasn't really had a good quarterback throughout his entire career.
Yeah, he feels like the ideal fantasy wide receiver too, without a doubt to me. But like Mike Evans, I don't know that I have the cojones to make them my one in a fantasy
wait,
draft.
Where do you go to school? Where do you go to school?
Wide receiver you, baby.
Wide receiver you, baby. SMU. But DJ Moore is, to me, right, that's just the easy pick. And as mentioned, Team 5 didn't take a wide receiver. They went quarterback. So
Sutton goes to Team 2, though, so he was not able to make it back to you. While Joe's looking to make his pick here, guys, I'll kind of quickly recap just some of the highlights. So far, we have had in 4 complete rounds, 5 quarterbacks go. And I think the ADP Joe is doing a great job.
I think so, too.
Of simulating a home league, because 5 quarterbacks through the first 4 rounds, when you're doing industry drafts, it's not that way at all. And this feels much more like a home league.
I would say yes. And even what I find is that Team 5 and Team 7 are apparently going the 0 RB strategy because
2 Joels.
TJ Hawkinson in the 5th is, don't take DJ Hawkinson in the 5th round, guys. Let's just, I want to put that out there right now.
Yeah.
It's not great. But yes, Courtland Sutton did get drafted, which I figured was going to happen. I didn't think he would fall to me. I think in some of my home leagues, I know I'm a much bigger Courtland Sutton fan than a lot of other people, so he may fall to me in those areas. But I sit here and I still like 3 receivers that I can sit here and take right now. And the 3 receivers, the top 3 on the board, DeVonta Smith, Xavier Worthy, and George Pickens.
Yeah.
I like those 3 options. DeVonta Smith I had as a wide receiver 2 last year. Always handy. DeVonta Smith is always handy. And if A.J. Brown ever misses or goes down or throws a fit, guess who's getting the ball? That guy.
Yeah.
And we are all assuming that Saquon takes a step back. So the numbers are going elsewhere. So I like that. George Pickens, pass-happy offense in Dallas.
Yeah.
Pass-happy. George Pickens finally gets a quarterback. He doesn't have to hold it down as the wide receiver 1. He's going to be seeing less good coverage. It's going to be awesome. Noted Xavier Worthy hater because all he does is just run fast. But if you run fast and you're the only receiver in the offense, I kind of like Xavier Worthy. Now, I don't know how that works when Rashee Rice comes back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it a little safe because to me, the safest pick is DeVonta Smith. The swing is Xavier Worthy. If this was my 3rd or 4th receiver, Xavier Worthy, absolutely, no doubt here. Caden, I do see it. We'll get to it just after I make this pick.
Yep.
And Pickens is kind of that middle of the, you don't really know what's going to happen. It's Dallas. So I'm going to take DeVonta Smith. That one feels safe. DJ Moore, DeVonta Smith. I think that was also my 1-2 pairing last year for receivers. But before we, Ryan, go into your pick, let's get to Caden. Trying to figure out who I pick late round 3, early 4 in a 12-man.
Yeah.
Evans, Marvin Harrison Jr., George Kittle, Rashee Rice, Breece Hall. Pick 2 of them. So, Caden, if you're still listening, drop like league settings, like PPR.
Very importantly, you're also your first 2 picks because it could influence greatly
as well. What were your first 2 picks? I would say, assuming PPR and just best players available, Breece and Kittle? Breece and Mike Evans?
Yeah, obviously I like tight end early. I'm going to go on the assumption that he didn't grab one earlier if Kittle's on his board here. Evans, as we mentioned, I actually was in a similar decision to this. Not quite. I wish Breece was sitting there for me. When I made my James Cook pick, big Mike Evans fan, and Joe asked me about taking Mike Evans. And I said, I just don't feel comfortable with Evans as my 1. So as ridiculous as it sounds, who's your wide receiver 1 right now? So in that situation, Joe, not knowing his team, I agree with your first assessment. And that is Breece and Kittle for me would be the 2 I would look to walk away from out of this. So,
yeah, kid, I think Breece is the home run. I think of all of these, like that's the no doubter, no matter what you did in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah. Breece I was crossing my fingers. Breece fell to me at 312 or 311 rather.
And then, assuming if you don't have a wide receiver 1, go Kittle and use that as your wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
If you do, I think we all like Mike Evans as a wide receiver 2. Again, we're assuming PPR here. In a standard, I think it's Breece Hall and Kittle, probably, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that changes anyways. So, yeah, but I would say in a PPR, yeah. And then, Joe says Bijan at 6. Trust me, I didn't. Yeah, we didn't understand how Bijan fell to me at 6 either. That one made no sense.
Yeah,
if that does in my actual leagues, I'll be very happy.
Not sure what the sleeper auto pick was thinking there at all. For folks just tuning in, Joe is picking from the 6th spot. I'm picking from the 11th spot. Our goal here is really just to break down for you what we would be looking for in a draft. All of the other spots are being filled by computer, so we can just get through these picks and give you guys a little bit more in-depth knowledge of the picks we're making.
Yep.
And Joe, I put myself in a tough spot here. And I'm coming to find that with my tight end early strategy from the 11, this is happening more and more often. I don't know. At some point, and maybe it's after the show, maybe 11's not my ideal draft pick anymore because I'm not loving where this has put me because I have to take a wide receiver here, plain and simple. It's
there's not many good ones.
There's none. I'm going to gamble on the rookie. I'm going to go Tetairoa McMillan, and I'm going to let you guys know the players that I'm looking at. So Jalen Waddle, I have my issues with him from last year. There's consistency issues. Obviously, there could be a bounce back. But if I don't trust Mike Evans to be my wide receiver 1, I'm not trusting Jalen Waddle to be my wide receiver 1. Chris Olave would be the smash pick here if I had any faith in A, his health, and B, his quarterback. Plus, I already have Alvin Kamara. I already have 2 Raiders on this team. I'm not trying to go with 2 players from possibly 2 of the worst teams in the NFL to start my fantasy roster. So, Joe, when I look at all these guys, Tetairoa McMillan obviously goes to a quarterback that I'm infatuated with. I'm a big Bryce Young guy. We saw better play out of Bryce Young. He brings something to that team that they don't have, and that's namely size. Dave Canales had such success with Mike Evans. I'm going to hope and pray as my wide receiver 1, Tetairoa McMillan can give me some Mike Evans production. Now, when I say I didn't want Mike Evans as my wide receiver 1, keep in mind that was 3 rounds ago. In round 5, I'm going to make the right decision. And then, Joe, I'm going to do what I said I wasn't going to do. I've explained why I want Tetairoa McMillan. I need as much upside as I can get. You know what? I'm going to change my own mind here because I don't want 2 New Orleans Saints, Joe. I'm going to go with a player that I don't trust, but that I'm hoping can be so much better this year. Yeah, I think I'm going to take Jalen Waddle, Joe. Basically,
everything in me. No.
I think so. Where would you go? Would you go Olave?
No, God, I don't trust Olave even in the slightest.
I have players that I think are going to help me back. Actually, where are we at? So my next pick, you know what, Joe? I'm actually going to pivot to ADP because I'm realizing where we are right now. We just made pick 60. We're at pick 62. And my next pick isn't going to be until pick 84. And I think both these guys are going to go. So I'm going to do what I talked about earlier in the draft, Joe. Thank you. You talked some sense into me before I made the pick. I need a wide receiver, and there is a wide receiver I trust. And this may be a round too early for him, but I don't think he's going to fall to me, Joe. I'm going to take Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, that should be your pick. Correct.
There we go. So Calvin Ridley is a guy.
Early.
Yeah, it's a round early, but I have to do that with the situation I've created for myself. Calvin Ridley is a guy who should be the number 1 wide receiver by far in Tennessee. There's next to no competition. And Calvin Ridley was the wide receiver, I'm trying to get my numbers straight in my head, 27, 22, something along those lines, with piss poor quarterback play last year.
Horrible.
And now we're getting Cam Ward, who has to be an upgrade. So again, my wide receivers are going to be ugly, but this is the same situation a lot of 0 RB drafters feel, where I now just have to go for quantity over quality and hope that some of these guys pop. Tetairoa McMillan's an exciting rookie that I'm hoping is going to be able to step in right away. But Calvin Ridley's been a sleeper for me, Joe, and he's someone who I think could be my wide receiver 1. I think he comes in as like my wide receiver 16 in my PPR rankings right now.
Yeah, to me, you would have had to, just for reference, the other guys that were sitting there: Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, Jordan Addison, Chris Godwin, Jerry Jeudy. So I sat there. Yeah, you have to swing at that pick, because you need to maybe go a little bit of a round early, and I would take Calvin Ridley there as well. I'm sitting here, 3 backs.
Yeah, very balanced.
2 receivers. Balanced roster. Why don't we unbalance it a little bit?
I thought you might.
Yeah. I'm looking at the receivers. There is a guy that I like, but the issue is I already drafted his teammate, Rhamondre.
Yeah.
So I like Rome. Already drafted DJ Moore.
That's the spot you got put in our offline draft that we did a few weeks ago for the show. So.
And I did note that I didn't realize I did that when that happened.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I would have shifted to a different person, so I did note that. But at the end, I wouldn't even be mad. You just got to hope that, God, Caleb figures it out. So what I'm going to do based off of that is I'm going to go back to the running back position. And there's a guy we've been talking about for a while whose ADP has slowly creeped up from like RB 37
I think I know
to RB 24. And if I told you that I can play DeAndre Swift
you bastard.
as my fourth running back.
I mean, he was never making it back to me, but
God, no. He was, if he made it to the 7th round, he was my
You were
pick.
taking him there anyway. Yeah, that's a good point.
Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Kyren Williams, DeAndre Swift. No one's competing with my running back room, guys. Sorry. That's just not happening.
Yeah, I think this DeAndre Swift, I think it's an excellent pick at the value you're getting him with. So far, we haven't really had to argue with anyone's picks except when you talk me out of making it just an absolutely terrible pick. But for the value you're getting on DeAndre Swift for a team that's going to throw to their running backs, and he has no competition. He's the Calvin Ridley of running backs. It's funny. My draft process, my player evaluation process this year started off with me telling everybody Calvin Ridley was the best value in fantasy football. Until I got to DeAndre Swift, and I said, no, by the way, DeAndre Swift is the best value in fantasy football right now.
And I will say, looking at what the computer did, I was minorly debating Caleb Johnson, because if I went receiver, if I went receiver, there's a chance that Swift or Johnson, probably Johnson would have fell to me, and I would have gone Johnson here. But I was debating looking at Pollard, Johnson, and Swift. Swift by far, I had him higher. And so now, for right now, I say for right now because I scroll down a couple bit. I'm like, I might take a running back in the next round too. But and then I'm done. And then I'm done at that point. So now I'm back to looking at the receivers. And
while you do that, Millie is giving you the big ups of damn hell of a running back room. And Millie, that's exactly Joe's draft strategy every single draft. And that's why we're doing this show today, to talk about what would be the perfect draft for us. I just want to throw out there, this is working out as a perfect draft for Joe Zollo. This is working out as a cautionary tale for me from the 11. So you're getting the perfect draft and probably the most imperfect draft. So.
This is exactly what I like seeing my team look like. And again, I look at the running backs. There's just not many good startable ones in fantasy football. I look at team 7 right after me. James Conner and RJ Harvey. I'm not confident in those guys as my 2 running backs. Like, yes, great wide receivers, great tight ends. But here's the thing. There's a world where DJ Moore finishes higher than Garrett Wilson, potentially in the same realm as Drake London. There's a world where DeVonta Smith can finish as high, if not higher, than T. Higgins, Tyreek Hill, Jackson Smith, and Jigba.
Certainly.
There's a real world of that, and I got those guys 2 to 3 rounds later. And there's also, and again, DeAndre Swift, just insane value, but there's a world where DeAndre Swift finishes higher in fantasy points than a lot of the previously aforementioned guys. So
Swift is coming in very much like Calvin Ridley. Swift is coming in, I believe, at my RB 16 right now, and just quickly looking at the board, 11, 13. It looks like you got him around RB 20, so there's still some value there. But as you pointed out, his ADP has crept up steadily since we have been talking about him. We'll take credit for that.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's all us. So again, looking at the receivers, we can move along here. This is starting to get, after this round, I feel a receiver dead zone.
Yeah.
Just guys that we don't personally like, and some guys will probably swing on. So I'm sitting here, the top 5 in terms of rankings, according to Sleeper, Jerry Jeudy, who we don't like. Rome Odunze, again, who I would love to take here, but I have his teammate. There's no reason. Love Khalil Shakir. Deebo Samuel there. I'm going to go with my New England heartthrob, no longer a Patriot. But God, I wish he was. I think he's going to do well with Geno Smith at quarterback. Pete Carroll's going to know how to utilize him. Jakobi Meyers is an unbelievably underrated wide receiver.
Yeah.
So I like Jakobi Meyers as my third guy.
And the computer has finally removed temptation from you and got Rhamondre taken
Thank
by
God. If
my
Rhamondre made
teammate.
it to me in the 8th, I was taking Rhamondre. So
To be fair, I was actually going to take Rhamondre with my next pick, so he was not going to make it to you in the 8th. And Joe, I'm going to stick with I need to keep filling this wide receiver room up. So at this point, I'm sitting with a team with 3 running backs that I'm pretty damn comfortable with. I better be. I took them early. The best tight end in fantasy football, and wide receivers I hate. So I feel like my next 2 picks need to be wide receiver just so that I have as many dart throws as possible. This is full PPR. You've already mentioned this guy's name. I'm going to grab Khalil Shakir here. And when you look at Khalil Shakir, what he offers is he is the safety blanket for Josh Allen, one of the best quarterbacks in football. And normally you look at that as maybe a running back or a tight end. It's very clearly Khalil Shakir. And then the players they've brought in to surround Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman and now Joshua Palmer, they operate on the outside. They do not operate in the same space in the field that Khalil Shakir does. And even to a further extent, Dalton Kincaid tends to work up the seams. The underneath stuff really falls to Shakir. And in a full PPR format, Joe, he's somebody who I'm very comfortable as my wide receiver 3, and he could be an ugly wide receiver 2 by the time the whole thing is said and done.
He's 10 points per game. That's what it's pretty much like. He averaged higher than that last year, but there were 4 games last season where he didn't score at least 10 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Just 4. So he was consistently 13, 10, 19, 10, 13 and a half, 19, 11, 11, 15, 21, 15. All the other ones, 5.5, 4.2, 7, and 3.9. But he's a guaranteed double-digit scorer every single week, and plugging him in at wide receiver 3 makes a lot of sense.
Joe, before I make my pick, I want to have you take a look at Team 9. And it's kind of the antithesis of a team that you would build. It's the hero running back
hero
strategy.
RB right there.
Yeah, they grab DeVonta Achane, and then they just load up at wide receiver. This is a league, and this is where my problem kind of comes in, though, Joe. This is a league where you can start 4 wide receivers, and they've already taken 5 before their second running back, and that bothers me. I feel like once you've reached your starters limit, then you need to start filling your lineup. And I know that Joel Worth, a zero RB expert, would disagree with that. But I just don't like, especially not Jerry Jeudy, and obviously this is an auto pick team, but Travis Hunter and Jerry Jeudy over filling up your running back room just doesn't feel like the right call when we look at a team like Team 9.
I agree. And I see guys like, I don't know if you're not going back here, but like Jalen Warren would have been a solid pick as the RB2. If you're a believer in Travis Etienne, I'm not, then that's fine. I'm not going to say another guy because I might take him with my next pick.
Yeah, that's fine. I can tell. I mean, I know who I'm taking already. Again, I needed to fill the wide receiver room up, and this is a guy who's falling for good reason. It sounds like he's going to be ready for week 1, Joe. You're very comfortable with his offense. You're very comfortable with his quarterback. I'm going to go Stefon Diggs because, again, I need big swings right now. We saw good play out of Drake Maye last year. This is a team with no defined wide receiver 1. Stefon Diggs is not the player he was 2 years ago. If he can be the player he was last year, he's probably the best wide receiver on your Patriots.
I was in this. What the computer just showed me here is if you didn't take Stefon Diggs, he was going to fall to me. He was going to fall to you because
nobody went wide receiver.
And I was going to take him. What I find interesting, just what you brought up. So Team 10 was also running hero RB as well.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry in the 1st, and then not Tyrone Tracy until the 8th.
Oh yeah.
Team 9 decided we're still not going to take another running back. Tyler Warren. Again,
folks, this is an anti-Tyler Warren show. Let me be very clear.
An anti-Tyler Warren show, anti-Jerry Jeudy show. Rice
Team 9 is our least favorite show after their first 2 picks.
Yeah. So Team 9's tough. But yeah, what that's telling me is I'm not getting Stefon Diggs in my home league because I'm a Patriots fan and I play with Patriots fans. Stefon Diggs is a 5th round pick in our leagues. That's what's going to happen. So
to be fair, I could have taken him in the 5th too. I was looking for wide receiver 1 upside in the 5th. I love Tetairoa McMillan, but Stefon Diggs wouldn't have been out of place as my 5'11" pick on the team build that I have. I need a wide receiver 1. So.
And looking at my options at wide receiver, I don't love any of them. I'm not gonna lie to you. The guys I'm looking at are Cooper Kupp, Jawan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk, Jaden Reed, and Matthew Golden.
Yeah.
And then Ricky Pearsall. Literally all 3 San Francisco wide receivers, the top 2 receivers in Green Bay. I love
the
Cooper
offenses
Kupp.
we're trying to avoid.
Yeah, I love Cooper Kupp, but
that was my debate with Diggs, but it wasn't much of a debate. If Diggs was gone,
hoping you were going to take Kupp, so Diggs
Yeah.
would fall to me, and I would be fine. And this is where it gets interesting for me, because what I see right now is I scroll down the list of running backs. There's one guy left, maybe 2 guys, because I might just be funny. There's one guy left that I want. And if I take him, I'm done with running backs the rest of the way. I can just focus receiver, and then I can maybe start taking some swings on some guys where I'm like, okay, let me just hedge my bet. I know everybody wants the shiny toy, like Team 1 did.
Oh,
you
bastard. I was hoping he was falling to me.
Everyone wants the shiny toy in Travion Henderson. But I cannot stress to you enough that Rhamondre Stevenson is still going to get his work and is still going to be a major part of this
100%.
offense. So Rhamondre Stevenson is my 5th running back.
Yeah, I know Josh wanted us to debate picks with each other because he hates when we agree on shit. But it's kind of hard on this one, Joe, especially for me and you who just tend to agree on so many picks. The only one of your picks I would have given pushback on is Jakobi Meyers. And you had brought up Khalil, Shakir, and Deebo Samuel. I think I would have went there. I certainly couldn't go Jakobi Meyers based on my team build, but I think I would have went there just based on their roles. But I mean, Jakobi Meyers and Khalil Shakir are technically the same guy, not the same player, but they're the same role of their offense. And Jakobi Meyers, you could argue, not even argue, is a better, more complete wide receiver. So I couldn't even give you too much pushback there.
And that if I didn't take Meyers, I would have gone Shakir. If Meyers was off the board, I would have gone Shakir. Easy.
And Joe, to no surprise, I don't know if you've noticed, I was going to bring this up. Me and you are the last 2 teams to draft a quarterback, which is exactly what I expected when this thing started. So.
Yeah, again, Ryan and I are both late quarterback guys, and you mentioned Josh hates all the agreements. We're just right. I don't know what to tell you. Like, we just happen to be right all the time. But this is truly like this. I am doing this exactly how I would draft and how the board fell to me. Because what I was looking at receiver is the 4 receivers that went in that time that it took to get back to my pick.
Yeah.
I didn't love any of them. If Cooper Kupp ended up falling to me in the 9th, sure, I would have taken Cooper Kupp. Feel fine with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there was another guy that I'm okay with taking that I knew was going to be there in the 9th. And you have guys like Golden still on the board, Ricky Pearsall still on there, Josh Downs, Emeka Egbuka, Michael Pittman. And Pittman, I would, his quarterback situation is horrible. Yeah. But, okay. The guy who I had last year, super high on, pretty much since he came into the league, Darnell Mooney in the 9th round just feels really good. Right. So, in knowing that, like, I'm done with, I'm waiting on tight end. I'm not, I'm waiting on quarterback.
It's down to you and 3 other teams at tight end, and that's with the team before you double stacking tight end already.
Both teams before me double stacking tight end.
Oh my goodness, I missed that team 3 did it as well. Our team 4 did it as well. Terrible draft strategy, folks. We are not double stacking tight ends. We're certainly not double stacking tight ends in the first 10 rounds of a fantasy draft.
And double stacking them with Trey McBride, because you're never taking Trey McBride out of your lineup. So
you got lucky as hell with Trey McBride falling to you at 3-4. You don't need to don't overthink this.
And speaking of doubling up, Team 7 and Team 8 just doubled up on quarterback. Team 7, 2 quarterbacks in 3 rounds. Please don't do that unless obviously it's a super flex. Then the board would look very different from what we're doing. But please,
and Joe, I think you would agree with me. Even as a team who doesn't have, that doesn't make me sweat. Like, I don't worry about that one singular bit. I'm just like, cool. So, Joe, I've reached an interesting situation. I saw 2 names on the board when you were taking Rhamondre Stevenson, Travis Etienne, and Najee Harris that I were hoping we're going to somehow make it back. And they didn't. And it breaks my heart. So I reached this situation now where I really want to go running back. I want to keep this team balanced. I'm not ready to go quarterback yet. I look at the quarterbacks that are available. They're all the same to me, except for one. And in round 9, I'm like, do I just go ahead and grab, and I'll say his name because I don't know if he's going to make it about round 10. Justin Fields is interesting to me because of the rushing upside.
Sure.
But I also feel like I can just wait and go safer. But the problem is I look at these running backs, Joe. I don't want to take Javonte Williams. I know he should be the starter in Dallas. I don't want to take Javonte Williams. It doesn't matter. The guy who I'm looking at here is a backup, and I don't have his starter. But we've seen what he can be if his starter gets hurt. And it's not the guy you think it is because I can wait another round on him. But I'm looking at Zach Charbonnet right now on a team that should be running the ball a lot. And I'm in the same situation as you at wide receiver, mainly just because I don't want to go 5 wide receivers in a row because I would go Pittman here, even with the quarterback situation, because it's just a wait and see. I think I'm going to take Charbonnet for no other reason than Kenneth Walker's health issues are well documented. And I need a guy who could be an RB1 if the right set of circumstances fell. And that's why I'm going with Charbonnet there. There are a lot of people who like Jordan Mason out of Minnesota as well. What do you think about those 2 running backs going back to back, Joe?
I don't love Jordan Mason. Like, one cut back behind a good offensive line.
Yeah.
He's a one cut back behind a bad offensive line now.
Yeah.
They got worse. So I don't know. Like, if you like Jordan Mason, sure, fine, go take him. But he's nowhere near on my radar for my teams.
Yeah. Joe, a guy I was looking at, I spoke ill of this guy early in the season. It's a guy you and I both like, but circumstances have changed on this team. And I am changing my tune on rookie wide receiver Trey Harris.
Okay.
This is now a spot where there's no more Mike Williams. He and Quentin Johnston are competing, and for the most part, the fact that Quentin Johnston just came off of 800 yards and 8 touchdowns and doesn't have a solidified job tells me enough I need to know about Quentin Johnston. I've seen Trey Harris going way earlier than this in a lot of drafts. For my team, where I know I'm not going to need to start him and I know I'm going to have the patience to wait, I feel like he's the right pick. It's also because I'm playing the ADP game on a couple of players. I'm going to go ahead and grab Trey Harris here and see how things shake out for me later down the road. I have a feeling, again, you and I like a lot of the same players, so I have a feeling you're going to be able to screw a lot of this up for me, but I'll be interested to see the picks you make on the upcoming picks.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I'm sitting here. I would say I'm pretty much done at the running back position. I will not be taking Rachaad White for the giggles unless he somehow ends up in the 12th round, which I don't believe that'll happen.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at receiver. Top 3 in rankings are Pittman, Jaden Higgins, and Keon Coleman. And I'm looking past that because Pittman's fine, but he's not going to do anything for me. What I'm looking past is God, I love Rashid Shaheed, but I don't like his quarterback. I wish it was Rashid Shaheed. A guy we had brought up on the Broncos episode. I didn't get the wide receiver 1. So why not go for this guy, Marvin Mims, who is an absolute scorcher.
that was the guy I just put in my queue, Joe. That's who I was talking about.
Yep, the absolute scorcher. So I like Marvin Mims. Sleeper has him projected for 86 rushing yards as well. Yeah. Maybe they'll get him on some end rounds. So like Marvin Mims, couple of deep threats that I have. And obviously it was pretty clear that the computer was going to go Pittman right there.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Mims would have and could have and should have been my pick, being perfectly honest. But I'm interested to see what's going to happen with this Chargers and Trey Harris. But Josh brought up such great stats about Mims. The most important wasn't it that he led the league in air yards last year? And this is his role. Again, we talked about this with other players. You like players whose roles are clear and defined. And Mims' role is very clear, very defined. And no one else is taking it from him on that team.
I completely agree. All right. As I'm sitting here looking at my draft board, I'm looking at the quarterback situation because I'm realizing, my next pick that's a non-tight end or quarterback, I filled my bench.
Yeah.
So I'm realizing that now, and I could go quarterback here. I think based off of the quarterbacks that have been taken, I should have a guy fall to me. So we'll see. So I'll gamble on that.
I just went in and put stars next to every quarterback I'm willing to have be my QB1, and I feel so comfortable waiting on quarterback.
Yep. And I'm gonna bite the camp bullet here, because all I was doing, I was listening to the midday show on 98.5 The Sports Hub on Boston Sports Radio. And they're talking about the Red Sox and how garbage they are. And they're at Patriots training camp. They broadcast live from there every single year. And there's just oh my God, who was that? Me. I was like, ooh, okay. They're like, was that Rhamondre? And they're like talking, they're trying to figure out who it is. And they were like, no, that's the rookie Kyle Williams.
Oh.
And they, on like back-to-back plays, they were like, is that the rookie? I haven't seen the video, haven't seen anything. All I know is they were sitting there like, we drafted a receiver. Like they're like, they finally did it. They finally did it.
That's great.
After 1 2-hour practice,
they're anointing him.
I'm sold. Give me Kyle Williams. I'm sold.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially the same kind of pick that I made with Trey Harris. And Joe, there was a pick I regretted with the Trey Harris pick and even the Zach Charbonnet pick, but I did want to see how the ADP played out. Everybody is very quick to give the Denver backfield to RJ Harvey, but J.K. Dobbins at this point in the draft where he is being called the 1A in Denver just feels like absolute robbery.
Mm-hmm.
And I've reached the point where I'm no longer going to play QB chicken. I'm going to speed through these a little bit. We're getting a little bit towards the end of the draft, and I want to make sure we try to wrap this up close to an hour. I'm not going to play the QB chicken anymore. Of all of the guys available, Joe, Justin Fields just has the highest upside to me. This is a team where I need as much upside as I can get. The draft did not quite go my way. So this is a Justin Fields team for me. It's a team very much built on the ground, quite obviously. So.
Yes. And that it fell perfectly. Me, I was hoping that this guy. I'm playing so homer right now again.
I almost took him. I figured you would if he made it to you. So
Drake Maye is never making it to the 12th round in the leagues that I'm drafting. I want it to be so clear that I'm never seeing Drake Maye on my teams. But in this, sure, give me the year 2 and the year 1 stack. Drake Maye, Kyle Williams. We'll see what the two of those can do. But I love Drake Maye. The rushing upside is there, and I think he's going to be a good quarterback in his second year. First kicker off the board too.
Yeah,
Cameron Dicker.
Yeah, and the wrong kicker at that. So what's that all about? Brandon Aubrey is the first kicker off the board, and there is no question.
I love Cameron Dicker.
Joe, you can look. I think it's 2 teams over from you and see team 8 waited on tight end and they grabbed 2 tight ends. And I don't mind the tight ends they grabbed. They didn't need 2 tight ends with Kraft, but that's fine. With teams like me and you who waited so long on quarterback, is there a consideration of backup quarterback? For me, there's not. No. I don't make that play. Okay.
Nope, not even a little bit, because I'm looking at the quarterbacks that haven't been drafted. I could feel confident plugging in and picking up Michael Penix, Matthew Stafford, Bryce Young, Geno, Tua, as long as he's at home in warm weather. I'd feel confident putting any of those guys in my lineup if I needed them to.
Yep, that's exactly how I feel. When you look at the guys who are available on waivers, there's no need to force a pick on a backup quarterback.
I feel I'm going super homer here with 3 straight New England Patriots picks, but I haven't wavered. I've been consistent on all these guys. It
gives you a chance to talk up the guys you know.
So. Well, I've been consistent on all these guys. And I've said, in the leagues that I'm not with Patriots fans, I'm trying to wait to draft Drake Maye. Because I like what he has to do. Kyle Williams is a new development. Okay, that's a very new development for me.
Yeah.
If Kyle Williams, if that stuff didn't come out, I probably would have gone Kirk, maybe Shaheed. Could have gone down a little further to a guy like Josh Palmer, who hasn't been taken yet. But Hunter Henry, in the 1 year under Josh McDaniel's system without Tom Brady, he was double-digit touchdown guy, and he had the second most targets on the team.
Yeah.
It's Hunter Henry.
Yeah, I think it makes a ton of sense. It's a guy we've been talking up, and it's a guy with Tucker Kraft that we have called the perfect late round tight end. These are guys that are integral to their offense. There's actually a great Tucker Craft article on our website right now by Joel Wirth, where he talks about it's the most consistent and viable piece of their offense. Now, you may not call Hunter Henry the most viable piece of the New England offense, but he's certainly the most consistent when you look at just the overall way things have went for that team.
Yeah, I think Hunter Henry is going to be a steal for a lot of people late in drafts.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've reached the point, Joe, where I don't draft kickers in defense. It's just not who I am as a person. So these are all about flyers and seeing how things shake out in camp. And this guy is certainly a flyer. I spent a little time talking about him on one of our most recent episodes. I'm going to grab Nick Chubb here, wait and see how things shake out with the camp reports out of Houston. I think Nick Chubb is an immensely talented back. Obviously, he's at the tail end of his career, but we've also talked about Joe Mixon is a decidedly average running back who thrives on volume. And if Nick Chubb can come in here and take 125 to 135 carries, I think there's some interestingness certainly this late in the draft to adding a guy like Nick Chubb. And if something weird were to happen in camp, I'm not going to be mad. I have Nick Chubb on my roster if something happens with Mixon.
Yeah. And what are you going to do back to back? I know you don't take kickers or defenses.
Nope. So I'm going to go Wan'Dale Robinson, just the PPR darling, the quietest 140 target season in the history of NFL and fantasy football. He's probably not a guy who's going to make my final roster, but I do need more help at wide receiver than I do running back. So maybe Wan'Dale makes it over Nick Chubb if camp doesn't go the way I want. But his role, again, there's no reason to think his role is any different. The Giants are largely outside of quarterback, bringing it back the exact same team they had last year, which means Wan'Dale Robinson should be just fine.
Yeah. You can't argue with what it is. He's not getting a lot of yards, but he's there.
Yeah.
He's going to do something for you. So I'll take kickers and defenses here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and you've brought up that you do that. I'll quickly run through my thought process because it's not as simple as saying I don't take kickers and defenses because I want to see. I have a whole draft strategy when it comes to this, and what my strategy is Joe chooses his kicker or defense is I try to load up on guys that I trust as my like third, fourth, and fifth running backs late in the draft. And in this situation, we'll use Nick Chubb and Wan'Dale Robinson. And then what I would look to do is take Khalil Shakir and Zach Charbonnet, package them, and try to upgrade one of them into a better wide receiver or a better running back. So I'm trying to pull a 2-for-1 or even a 3-for-1 that frees up the roster spot I need for my kicker and defense. And it gets me an upgrade while trusting guys like Wan'Dale Robinson to be my fifth wide receiver if I need to.
I want it to be noted that Sleeper's defense rankings are a little out of whack because what the hell are these first five that are off the board?
Yeah, folks, you may not be able to see them because of our faces. Commanders, Saints, Titans, Dolphins, Vikings. Joe, maybe the Vikings. Other than that, not one of those defenses belongs mentioned as the top 5 defenses off the board.
Definitely not the Vikings. The only one I would be top 5, none of them, but the Commanders is fine.
Yeah, let me see here. I don't think any of those guys falls. I know I'm higher on the Vikings. I'm going to my own defensive ranking. I have the Vikings at 8. The Commanders are not well rated, 21. But Joe and I will also tell you, you play the game on can you start them in week 1. It's not all about their season long ratings. So.
Correct. Unless you want to. Philly's defense is the only one I'd be willing. Like, yeah, fine, that's fine. Yeah. You can plug them in every single week, but. The team, and looking at their average points, I think Sleeper's rankings might just be a little out of whack right now. Yeah. And that's what the computer's going off of.
Well, Joe, you have to take the team we've been talking about.
Guys, take the Denver Broncos. Like what? that is an absolute no. And Ryan, take the Eagles. Like it's an absolute. I know you don't take defenses.
I'm doing it. No, but I would in this situation. It's my last pick. They have a great week 1 matchup. They're a solid defense. This is the exact spot where I would take a defense. So
I'll just again quickly touch on the Broncos for those who haven't listened. They play Cam Ward at home week 1 at Mile High. They play a rookie quarterback 6,000 feet above sea level in his first NFL game. That is a home run defense for week 1. Absolute home run defense. Oh, and then they go to Indy. Like, yes, and they have actually a few tough matchups. The Chargers, Cincinnati, Philly.
One of those is at home, I think, right?
Cincinnati. But even then, I'm still like, that's Cincinnati. Then you have the Jets, the Giants, Dallas. Like, they have, they're on and off hot and cold matchups throughout the season. But they're still a good defense.
Yeah.
Even if you have to play them in a bad matchup. So,
Joe, we got another trade question.
We do. Justin. Do I do this trade? Get Rasheed and Bree Rice, give Chase Brown and Downs.
I think if it's Dynasty, I'm making this trade just because Rasheed has the best long-term value out of all of these guys. If it's redraft this season, Joe, actually, no, I'm still making this trade. I don't care about Josh Downs. I know you love Chase Brown, but Josh Downs does nothing for me. I'll still take the Brees and Rasheed side. Is Brown enough to make that work for you, Joe?
I just don't know what's going to happen with Rasheed. Like, what is the legal situation? How long is he suspended for? Like,
I'm hearing 3 to 4, but nobody knows. That's absolutely true.
And that's where I don't know. Like, I know, like, nobody died. Like, I understand that, but like, how, if it was 4 games, fine. Yeah, Rasheed Rice. But like, if we're getting into like 6 approaching 7, 8 game territory,
you can't keep that in redraft.
He's worthless. He's worthless. So unless you can put him in your IR spot and then go pick up another receiver,
that's great.
But
in Dynasty, you're making this trade though, right?
In Dynasty, yes, because you have the long-term value with Rasheed Rice, and then Brees Hall is going to get a second contract somewhere. Yeah, 100%. Chase, he's just so underrated.
He really is. And I find myself being one of the one who is continually underrating him. But I still like Brees Hall too. Brees has a lot of talent. So
yeah, Chase Brown's just so underrated. So it's tough. But yeah, in Dynasty, you make it. Rasheed would go into his flex. If this is Dynasty, you make the trade and you just bite the bullet on whatever happens with Rasheed Rice. But if you don't, if it's not Dynasty, I don't know, dude.
It's redraft.
It's redraft. Ugh.
I'm still making the trade. I don't think Joe is.
I love Chase Brown, dude. He's going to get like 60 yards through the air, 60 yards on the ground, and find the end zone once. He's walking 15 points. So, man, that's hard. That's a tough one. I would honestly, what I'd tell you is, of all 4 of those players, who do you love the most? Truly.
He sounds like he's on your side with this, Joe.
Yeah,
he just said in the chat, folks, that he loves Chase Brown too, which is what makes this tough for him.
And you're talking to a guy that is obviously leans running back heavy, because I know how hard it is to find running backs. Yeah. So, man, that's tough. I love Rasheed Rice too. Where do you go to college, Ryan?
SMU,
wide receiver U. So, man, if you can bite the bullet, if he's going into your flex, it means you have 2 solid receivers then, right?
Yeah.
So
you probably don't need him.
Yeah. So I guess you don't technically need him you just got to hope it's no more than 4 weeks. So yeah, at that point, I've talked myself into it. If you need Rasheed Rice in the flex, I like Brees Hall. It's Brees Hall, Chase Brown, or Kyren Williams in the 3rd round for me, whichever guy falls to me, and then I make the decision.
Which we saw in today's draft.
So, I'm okay with trading that and getting Rasheed Rice, letting him sit on your bench, or if you can, put him in your IR spot for 3 to 4 weeks, and then basically running him as your flex. Because I'm okay with that. If it was for a starting wide receiver spot, I probably wouldn't. So
yeah.
There we go. Good draft. Good show.
It was. I was going to say, hopefully folks saw the value in this and just literally hearing us say exactly what's going on in our heads when we're making these picks. Josh called it the perfect team. I would call Joe's team damn near the perfect team. Mine is a cautionary tale. Mine is a cautionary tale of what happens when you fuck around from the 11 slot. So
I legitimately don't hate any of my picks.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I don't hate any of your picks. That's the biggest problem. So
normally you're like, oh, I don't, I had to reach on this guy. I didn't love that. No, I'm sitting pretty with all my picks. I like what I did. So
yeah. It's not making me question tight end early. It is making me question how much I actually like the 11 spot to go with tight end early. So
yeah, it might be more of an 8 or 9
Yeah, it's what I'm
spot.
thinking as well. I need to be a little bit closer. And in that case, I might be willing to take Bowers in the first just to get him and then build my team after that. So
Yeah.
I learned a lot this episode, and hopefully folks did as well. So
Yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed. Next week we'll be doing
rookie
rookies.
breakouts. Yeah.
Rookie breakouts. Which Kyle Williams, I'm sure, will be talked about because apparently that guy absolutely had a fantastic first day of camp. So it's going to be fun. We're talking about rookies.
Might be the last time you see all three of us together for a very long time.
Actually, yes, it will be the last time you see all three of us together for a while. I won't be on any of the August shows because they're ranking shows. I might
You're
not
also
be
the busiest human being. So
yeah, September is a little busy with Banana Ball. Yeah, and just Justin saying making this trade would make his running backs Chuba, Brees, and Quinshawn Judkins. I mean, it's not good.
Here's my thing.
Chuba and Brees are fine. I'm okay with that. Judkins is not good.
Yeah, I kind of agree, though, that Chase Brown is the safest of all those running backs, and maybe that is who you just hold on to in this situation.
Oh, he's definitely the safest.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Ryan?
I'm still making the trade. Give me Rashee Rice and Brees Hall. I'm banking on Brees Hall.
Yeah, you're putting a lot. You're putting a lot of money into Brees Hall.
Yeah,
there because obviously Judkins, we don't know.
I think Brees Hall and Chase Brown can be the same person. I think Rashee Rice is way better than Josh Downs in any situation, unless Danny Dimes is 100% the quarterback, because then Josh Downs might be Wan'Dale Robinson.
He doesn't need a receiver. He has Jamar Chase, Lab McConkey, and DK Metcalf.
That's true too.
I would, knowing all the information we know now, I'm staying with Chase Brown. Rashee Rice is a fun little piece, right? You don't need Rashee Rice right now.
That's true.
You don't need Lab McConkey and DK Metcalf. You have Jamar Chase.
He's going to get all the points for you.
That's all you need. And we both love Lad and DK Metcalf. So I stay put. Stay put. Keep Chase Brown. He's the safest pick, no doubt. For Ryan, myself, Club Fantasy, Josh, you can follow us at Club Fantasy FFL, the URL, clubfantasyffl.com. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football. We will see you next week.